Today I want to walk you guys through the strategic plan and how it helps frame the work happening across the watershed. This plan is not intended to replace the work of any agency or partner in this room. Instead, it provides a shared direction, a way to align the many efforts already underway so that they collectively move us forward toward a meaningful progress for the lakes. And just as importantly, it provides context for the discussions you'll hear throughout the day. Because ultimately, the health of Lake Elsinore and Canyon Lake depends not on any single project, but on how well we coordinate across the watershed. So before getting into the plan itself, I want to take a step back and ground us in the system we're actually managing. Lake Elsinore and Canyon Lake sit at the downstream end of a complex watershed. Everything that happens upstream, land use, stormwater, nutrient inputs, infrastructure decisions, eventually makes its way into these lakes. That's straightforward conceptually, but the way those inputs behave is not very straightforward. In wet years, we see very different loading patterns than in dry years. Large storm events can deliver significant nutrient loads in a short period of time, and even when external inputs are reduced, we still have to contend with the nutrients already present within the system. So what we're managing isn't a static system, it's a dynamic one, with multiple interacting drivers operating at different timescales. That also means that improvements don't always show up immediately, and conditions can change quickly. At the same time, there's been real progress over the years addressing water quality challenges in both lakes. But we're still managing nutrient impairments, evolving regulatory expectations, and variability in hydrologic and environmental conditions. It's very important to be clear on what this plan is and what it isn't. First, it's a shared direction for the watershed. It establishes common priorities across the agencies that each have their own responsibilities, constraints, and timelines. Second, the coordination framework. It's definitely a coordination framework, and there are already many efforts underway, monitoring programs, compliance activities, lake management actions, and modeling efforts. This plan helps ensure those efforts are aligned and working together rather than operating independently. And then third, it represents a commitment to measurable progress. That means defining what success looks like and being able to evaluate progress over time. At the same time, it's not a silver bullet. There's no single action or project that resolves the challenges in these lakes. And it's not intended to replace the authority of individual agencies or regulatory requirements. Instead, it provides structure so that the work already being done across the watershed is more coordinated, more transparent, and more effective. The vision describes LESJWA as a guiding force for the community and ecological success in the watershed. The language can sound broad, so it's helpful to translate what that means in practice. It means helping align agencies, regulators, and stakeholders around shared goals. It means ensuring that actions taken in one part of the watershed do not intentionally create problems in the other. And it means providing a consistent framework for evaluating progress and communicating outcomes. So in practical terms, the vision is about coordination and alignment, not control, but connection. The mission focuses on sustaining lake health in a way that supports water quality, recreation, and economic vitality. Those three elements are closely linked. Changes in the water quality can directly affect recreational use of the lakes. Recreation influences how the community interacts with those lakes, and that can have real economic impacts. Maintaining that balance requires careful, science-based management decisions. So lake health is not just an environmental issue, it's also a community and economic issue. So what is a healthy lake? You know, that's one of the most important questions the plan addresses and defines, what a healthy lake is. It's not defined by a single metric, it's a combination of several dimensions. From a regulatory standpoint, we're looking at nutrients, chlorophyll, dissolved oxygen, parameters tied to TMDL compliance and beneficial uses. From a recreation standpoint, it's about whether the lake is usable and whether algal blooms affect access and public experience. From a systems perspective, it's about how the lake responds to stress, whether conditions are stable or prone to rapid change. And from a perception standpoint, it's about what people see and experience, which affects public trust and engagement. These indicators are not intended to replace any regulatory standards, but to complement them and support watershed-level decision-making. Another major theme in the plan is collaboration. Watersheds don't respect jurisdictional boundaries, which means coordination is essential. Different agencies operate under different mandates, funding structures, and regulatory requirements. Without coordination, efforts become misaligned, even when everyone is working towards a similar goal. A key component of that coordination is the Lake Elsinore and Canyon Lake TMDL Task Force. This is where agencies, regulators, stakeholders come together to align on implementation, monitoring, and compliance-related activities. The strategic plan provides the overall direction, while the task force helps translate that into that direction into a coordinated effort. So rather than operating separately, these processes are intended to work together. The plan also emphasizes long-term thinking. We're already seeing how quickly conditions can change in the lake. Storm events can significantly increase nutrient loading, warmer temperatures can accelerate bloom development, and drought conditions don't always hold don't always may change how the system behaves. So management strategies that work under one set of conditions don't always hold under another. There can also be delays between action and response, which makes it difficult to evaluate success in the short term. That's why the plan emphasizes adaptability, not just implementing actions, but evaluating performance over time and adjusting as needed. The plan also emphasizes governance and transparency. Clear roles and responsibilities help ensure that coordination remains effective. LESJWA, member agencies, and the TMDL task force stakeholders each have defined roles in the process. Transparency supports trust and helps ensure that the decisions are understood and supported across agencies and by the public. And none of this would work without resources. The plan focuses on aligning funding with priorities, leveraging partnerships, and pursuing strategic funding opportunities. Timing and coordination of funding can be just about as important as the amount of funding itself. Sustained outcomes require sustained investment. And then the plan also looks at the potential technologies and tools that may support lake management. But the emphasis is on evaluation, pilot testing, expert input, and performance monitoring. Not every tool is appropriate under every condition, and it's important to understand how these approaches perform before broader implementation. Any technologies would be evaluated within existing regulatory and scientific frameworks. And in today's agenda, you're definitely going to see this reflection and progression of topics. The strategic plan provides the framework, and the regional board presentation provides the regulatory context. The lake management and LEMS discussion focuses on implementation. The TMDL compliance discussion focuses on accountability and metrics. And the conceptual treatments discussion explores potential tools. Each of these builds on the last and connects back to the strategic framework. All right, looking ahead, success means measurable progress across multiple dimensions. That includes defined lake health metrics, reduced impact from algal blooms, stable funding and governance structures, and continued coordination across the watershed. Progress may not always be linear, but with consistent alignment and clear metrics, it becomes much easier to track direction over time. So I'll close with this. Managing Lake Elsinore and Canyon Lake is not a short-term effort. These systems respond over time, and the actions we take today may not show immediate results. That's part of the challenge, but it's also why consistency and this coordination are so important. Throughout this presentation, we've talked about the complexity and variability and the need for alignment across agencies and decision-making processes. The strategic plan doesn't eliminate those challenges, but it provides a framework to approach them in a more coordinated and transparent way, one that allows us to define success, track progress, and adjust over time. And ultimately, that work depends on the people in this room, or continued collaboration, engagement, and shared commitment to improving conditions across the watershed. Thank you very much.